Welcome to Storytell Kids.
In the Golden Kingdom of Arvindor, there lived a young prince named Adrian. He had it all: fancy clothes, a huge palace, and servants for his every whim. But despite all this, Prince Adrian had one big problem. He was incredibly lazy. While other royals were learning to fight, study history, and lead, Adrian just wanted to sleep in, play games, and avoid any responsibility. Whenever his tutors came around, he'd just yawn and say, "I'll learn it tomorrow." But tomorrow never seemed to arrive. Meanwhile, in a nearby kingdom lived Princess Ilara. She was the complete opposite. Ilara was up before sunrise every single day. She trained with knights, studied economics, and even visited villages to understand her people's struggles. She believed a ruler's job was to serve, not just give orders. One summer, a massive royal gathering was announced. Kings and queens from all over would bring their heirs to discuss alliances. Adrian's parents were hoping this event would finally light a fire under him. At the gathering, Adrian first saw Princess Ilara in the royal library. She wasn't decked out in jewels or surrounded by fans. Instead, she was hunched over maps, taking notes. Adrian, being Adrian, casually walked over. "Why are you working so hard?" he asked. "We're royalty. We don't have to." Ilara looked up at him calmly and replied, "That's exactly why we must. One day, our people will depend on us." Adrian just laughed. There's always someone else to handle problems." Ilara just smiled and went back to her work. The very next morning, shocking news arrived. A severe drought had hit the villages along their shared border. Crops were dying. Water was running out. The royal gathering suddenly got very serious. The kings decided to test their heirs by asking them to propose solutions. Adrian felt a knot of panic in his stomach. He'd skipped all his lessons on agriculture and water systems. He had absolutely no idea what to do. When it was his turn, he stood up and nervously mumbled, We should hope for rain." You could hear the disappointment in the room. Then, Princess Ilara stepped forward with confidence. She laid out a clear, brilliant plan. Build temporary irrigation channels from a nearby river, ration water from the palaces, send royal engineers to help the farmers, and organize food reserves for the hardest-hit villages. She even suggested their two kingdoms work together. The room was silent, then erupted in impressed whispers. Her plan was approved immediately. That afternoon, Adrian found Ilara in the courtyard, personally overseeing the packing of grain sacks. "Why are you doing this yourself?" he asked, genuinely confused. "Because leadership isn't about comfort," she said, not even breaking her stride. "It's about responsibility." For the first time, Adrian felt a deep sense of shame. He realized his title was meaningless without the effort to back it up. While he had wasted his days, Ilara had prepared herself to save her people. That night, Adrian couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the struggling farmers and how useless he had been. The next morning, before the sun was even up, Prince Adrian did something no one expected. He got out of bed early. He found his old tutors and begged them to resume his lessons. He went to the engineers and started asking questions. He even rode out to the border villages to see the drought for himself. It was hard. He was tired, he made mistakes, and he struggled with things that seemed simple to others. But this time he didn't quit. Weeks went by, and their joint efforts started to pay off. Water flowed to the dry fields. The crops slowly recovered. The people were saved. One evening, Adrian found Ilara again. "You were right," he admitted. "Being royal isn't about luxury. It's about service." Ilara smiled warmly. "Anyone can change if they choose to." From that day on, Prince Adrian was a different person. He trained hard, studied seriously, and listened to his people. Years later, when he became king, he ruled with wisdom and compassion, not because he was born into power, but because he learned the true value of hard work. And Princess Ilara? She became a legendary queen, loved for her intelligence and kindness. Their kingdoms remained strong allies, bound by shared responsibility and mutual respect. Their story became a legend, teaching a simple truth: talent without effort leads nowhere. But effort, even after making mistakes, can completely change your destiny. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.